Today our lesson is on slavery in America during the 18th century. Why slavery? To meet labor needs, tobacco, rice, and indigo were all very demanding crops in the southern and Chesapeake colonies. They needed lots of labor. Indentured servants had become no longer reliable. Their terms ended after 7 years, and then they got their freedom. Also, the establishment of the Royal African Company in 1672 made slavery extremely cheap and the supply of slaves inexhaustible. The capture. Englishmen would often barter with African kingdoms, and if that didn't work, they would resort to kidnapping. The journey back to the coast would take up to 2 months and last about 550 miles. Before going, they would brand the slaves to mark their property. This is a picture of what the travel looked like. Slaves would have to march in a line with chains around their necks. The journey to America was known as the Middle Passage. It was an extremely horrible 4 to 8 weeks across the Atlantic. Slaves were kept below deck with no fresh air and forced to go to the bathroom right there, making the smell completely unbearable. They threw 6 slaves overboard to prevent the spread of diseases. More than 1 in 4 captives died along the way, though. This is a picture of what the slaves had to sleep like in rows. They were extremely close. Once in America, they were auctioned off in public squares like Charleston, New York. The inspection included that of the teeth, underarms, and genitals. Young men and women were the most valuable. The total journey from Africa to America would last about 6 months. Plantation life. Several African traditions were preserved. Family life was very unpredictable. Children could stay up until 8 years old, and often slave owners would rape women. The slaves outnumbered colonists in the South, also on plantations. Life in New England, 3% of the population was African. Unlike plantations, they worked in small hands on small farms and house servants. Life in middle colonies, 18% of the population was African. They worked on small farms or even in the cities. Racism was used as a legal device to maintain control as the population grew. Interracial marriage was forbidden, although many slave owners resorted to raping their women slaves. Marriage and literacy were outlawed for slaves. Over time, blacks were raised to employ, hold office, bear arms, strike. Rebellion and resistance. There was very limited resistance. Runaways often ran to swamps and mountains, where Native Americans were bounties for runaways as they found them. Georgia was set up to these runaways, which was also considered a community of rooms. The Stonewall Rebellion, biggest rebellion, and pretty much the only rebellion of slaves. It was in South Carolina in 1739. A group of slaves stole firearms from a local place. They planned to go to Spanish Florida, where slaves were promised freedom if they made it there. They marched from house to house, slave owners and families. After 30 miles, the group was met by militias, where 30 rebellion slaves were captured. All captured slaves were killed. In response to Stonewall, the Negro Act was created. The South Carolina state law forbidding slaves to grow their own food, assembling groups to prevent rebellion, and learn to read. It resulted also in more legal action for slaves. The growing slave population. Over 2,000 slaves were brought per year on the Middle Passage. Between 1880 and 1700, the transportation of slaves rose from about 5,000 to 20,000. By 1750, African Americans were about 4/5 of the population. In 1755, 80% of the black population was mixed racial, even though interracial marriage was outlawed. 95% of the colonial African slaves remained slaves for life. Slaves during the Revolutionary War. Slaves gained freedom by joining state militias, not the Continental Army. Those who fought on American side were in the line of fire. Those who fought on British side were doing manual labor. About 5,000 slaves joined the American side, whereas 20,000 fought for the British. Freed slaves. By 1770, there was around 40,000 freed slaves in the colonies. This included runaways of black immigrants from the West Indies. They had certain social, political, social, economic, and legal restrictions, though their status was one of uncertainty among the white community. Results of slavery included population growth, but as the population grew, so did the restrictions. There were way more laws that came about. There was more racism and segregation began to emerge. There was also economic expansion.